The Senate Council Office is excited to bring you this video, which introduces the revised program approval process, which will be in Curriculog.
Curriculog is a system that might be familiar to you already. It's a system we've been using to do course approvals for the past couple of years. And in this initiative, we've expanded it to include all program changes and new proposals. They'll all now use the Curriculog system. We've been working on this initiative for about 2 years, and we're pretty excited as we're about to bring it to the whole campus and have it go live.
This video is going to show you some things about our analysis and the reasons for this revised submission process, as well as some of the technical aspects of the revised process, such as an Excel-based format for providing information about curriculum, a new faculty of record form, how it's going to look in Curriculog, and some web-based guidance that's been established for your direction.
At the end of this video, we'll include our email addresses and contact information. We're producing this video not just to provide you information about the new process, but also to solicit from the campus feedback about the changes that we're making, since the goal is to improve the process, and that's a campus-wide goal. So, why did we do this? Well, we received significant feedback about the Senate's approval processes, and our goal has always been to streamline the curricular approval process, both from the perspective of proposers and from the perspective of reviewers.
So one of the things that we wanted to do was utilize the existing Curriculog system, which has been used, as mentioned, for course proposals for the last 4 years. And pretty much when we looked at the current system, there was really no way that we could make it worse if we were trying to make it better.
So we've spent the last 2 years talking with constituents and colleagues all across campus. We've coordinated with the chairs of the academic councils, that's the undergraduate council, the graduate council, and the healthcare colleges council. In addition, we've worked with the coordinators of all those councils, so those are the administrative staff who have a lot of familiarity with the technical versions of the technical aspects of the approval processes. We've worked with faculty proposers from across campus, people who've put proposals through in the old form and had ideas about how it might be better. We've worked with the chairs of the Senate Academic Programs Committee as well as the Senate's Rules and Elections Committee. And we've also talked with, from the Provost's office, Assistant Provost Annie Davis Weber and her staff in the Office of Strategic Planning and Institutional Effectiveness, who are regular collaborators on curricular approvals. We've also worked with folks from UK Online and from the Registrar's Office. So as I hope this demonstrates, we've worked hard to make this a robust program approval process and a robust development of what we think is going to be a great improvement in our curricular approval processes. So what is the same? Well, faculty oversight is the same. So at the heart of our curricular approval process, as established in our Senate rules and as one of the central tenets of shared governance, faculty have deep oversight over the curriculum at the University of Kentucky. That hasn't changed. The substance of the approval process also hasn't changed. So substantively, the content of the curriculum and of the approval of that curriculum remains the same. And the other thing that's remained the same is the information that's required. Sheila, you want to talk a little more about that?
Proposers are still going to be required to submit information that documents approval by affected entities, approval for the use of courses from another unit. As is typical, proposers have to explain why they're proposing a proposal. And then we've also got the standard information about what exactly is going to be in the proposal, the courses, the admission requirements, and that sort of thing.
So I think this makes clear the goal has never been, and it is not and has never been, to change anything substantive about this approval process, but more to change the format about it.
And so one of the things...
Sorry.
So the things that have not changed, the things that have changed are the formats that describe the information and the methods for submitting the information. So what we wanted to do was move away from that really long Word form that was converted into a PDF. It was a static form and it really didn't have much flexibility.
The goal of all of this, has been to change the format of the information requests, and the goal there is to take questions that have been confusing or unclear to proposers and to make those questions more clear. So at any moment in this process where we've changed something about the forms, we've done it to try to clarify the information that's being requested, both for the reviewers and for the proposers. So why did we make this change? Well, as I said, we've gotten a lot of feedback about the Senate curriculum approval process. So we heard from reviewers, including those in the Senate Council and the Senate, as well as those at the academic council level and some of the committee levels. Reviewers often thought that prior long-form format was confusing and clunky. So as Sheila mentioned, getting that long PDF document made things, in some sense, unclear. It was also difficult for proposers to know what step their proposal was at. So proposers would have to call Sheila or others to find out whether their program proposal was still at an academic council level or was it at a committee level or had gone onto the Senate Council. In addition, proposals were regularly circulated, in fact, only circulated as attachments to emails, which also made it difficult to keep track of what the latest version of the proposal was. This simplifies all that. No more attaching things to emails and no more sending things around that way. And then finally, as reviewers were looking for information that they needed to complete their reviews, it was often difficult to find given the sort of clunky, unclear nature of some of those forms.
And proposers had a hard time too. Sometimes they didn't know what information was being asked for. So in short, the feedback that we received clearly indicated we needed to provide more flexible forms, we needed to provide easier access to information for reviewers and proposers, and we needed a more streamlined process to submit this information either for a new degree program or for a change to an existing program.
So how are things different and why are they improvements? Well, first of all program-related proposals, which will include requests related to university scholars programs, will now be submitted in and processed through the Curriculog software. This is the system that's been used for course approval, so hopefully many of you will be familiar with that already. But just as a note, this isn't all Senate forms and Senate approvals at the moment, because any proposals regarding changes to department names, changes in ownerships of programs, creation of new academic units or closures of those units, those will still unfortunately be in Word documents. However, our hope is that by next summer we'll be able to import those kinds of processes into Curriculog as well.
So one of the benefits of Curriculog is that it's going to automatically route proposals from one step to the next based on the characteristics in the proposal that are described in Curriculog. So for example, a proposal is going to move seamlessly from the department level to the college level, and undergraduate proposals will go to the undergraduate council and graduate level proposals will go to the graduate council. The other thing that people wanted to know, as Jennifer mentioned, is where's my proposal? So users will be able to log into Curriculog and to see exactly where the proposal is, and it'll have the name of the person responsible for that step, so they know exactly who to contact if they want to. And proposers are also going to get automatically generated emails from Curriculog that tell them at what step their proposal is at. There's also going to be a functionality available so that if you're interested in a colleague's proposal and you want to know where that proposal is, you can watch it, and it's a watch functionality inside the system, and then you can get updates about the proposal and where it is, even if you're not the proposer itself. And so one of the benefits of this automatic routing system is that there have been times in the past where a proposal has sat at a particular step. We're all human, and sometimes people make mistakes, and it's really unfortunate when the mistake is not moving the proposal to the next step. So Curriculog is going to move these proposals forward the way they need to go. And we'll give some more information about some of these next things a little bit later, but the specific details about a curriculum are going to be placed in a curriculum workbook. It'll be an Excel spreadsheet that's much more flexible, and it provides people with the ability to describe the curriculum. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little bit about what the Curriculog form will look like online. Users can access Curriculog from the University Senate site via this link, but you may have a different bookmark. Once you navigate into Curriculog, you'll create a new proposal, but instead of selecting something from courses, you can go to programs and find the type of proposal you want there.
So as we've mentioned a couple of times now, one of the main concerns we heard repeatedly in this curriculum program approval process was that the document that was produced, the form itself, could be unwieldy, and in order to answer all of the questions and provide all the information that the Senate requested, the document became one single giant document, a PDF that was difficult to manipulate. So one of the central parts of the changes that we've made, and that Sheila has spent a lot of time working on, I think produced something really impressive, is proposers will now in addition to the work and Curriculog that you've just seen in the form, they'll upload several different documents, each of which will be responsible for providing specialized pieces of the information. So we've broken up that big long document into several smaller documents.
Yeah, one of the problems with that huge form before was that it started out as a 23-page form, which was sufficiently long, but then by the time people answered the questions, added letters, and then added additional information, it could be 150, 200, or 300 pages long. So it was hard for anybody to find the information that they wanted to. One of the other problems that we had was because information was included in there in multiple ways, oftentimes a proposer was asked to modify information that's here, but then they'd forget to modify the information that's duplicated in another place. And the other issue with that is that reviewers would have to check the same information, and oftentimes the same information was actually similar information. It was really close, but not quite the same. Mm-hmm. So it was difficult for reviewers. We would have to ask, now, is this the description of this, or is it the thing that's on page 195? And so one of the nice things about this new process is that reviewers will be able to access exactly what they want without flipping through hundreds of PDF pages, but also proposers, if they need to add something or change something, they're going to have a much shorter document to move through. It's not going to be the 300-page PDF. And so now I'd like to show you some of the Senate help pages that are going to be used to help proposers move through the process. Users can access help pages from the Senate website. The easiest way to do that is go to How Do I, and then choose Create a Course or Program Proposal. Then you can say you'd like to do something about a minor, certificate, or degree program. And then there are different links here that users can choose for guidance. For example, for a new certificate, you have the option to learn about how to create and submit a proposal. Or, if you want to know about the approval steps, you can click here. And then there's a link at the top of each page so you can toggle back and forth between the two.
So as Sheila just mentioned, one of the major changes we've created in this process is the creation of what we're calling the curriculum workbook. So the narrative descriptions of the proposals, the rationales for the proposals, the intended target audience, the value to the university, things like that, those are still in the Curriculog website, the form that Sheila showed you earlier. We haven't imposed any character limits on those responses. So often we saw attachments because the PDF form that we'd created had narrative character limits where which often then drastically lengthened the old PDF form. In the Curriculog process online, there won't be any character limits. People can include whatever narrative responses they want. But in addition to that, all of the work around the curriculum will be in our newly designed curriculum workbook, which Sheila will tell you more about.
This is a curriculum workbook, and it's for a new master's degree. There's information about how to fill it out, and then each of the tabs at the bottom has the different pieces of the curriculum that you're accustomed to putting in that long form. One of the nice features about this curriculum workbook is that when there are rows for proposers to put information in, we've changed the process, so it's just simply a matter of inserting more rows if a user wants to have more rows. And this is the faculty of record form that will be used. In contrast to what was on the forms before, this helps guide proposers to the proper language in accordance with university policy. So there's a default option, which is option 1 for graduate degree programs, and then if that doesn't fit, there are 2 other options that users can choose from. And although it's not mentioned on this slide, one of the other features that we'll have in collaboration with our partners in the Office of Strategic Planning and Institutional Effectiveness is their idea of creating a shared workspace for proposers of new degree programs. So if you're creating a new degree at the undergraduate, master's, or doctoral level, you'll be provided with a SharePoint site with extensive information about the CPE forms. If you've noticed, we haven't said much about the CPE forms on the Senate site because they will not be there. You will need to contact OSPE staff, and they will provide you with this workspace and also with the forms that you'll need to fill out on the CPE side. And those forms are essentially the same forms that have been used in the past, with one exception that we'll get to in a minute about assessment. But those are all the same questions that have been asked in the past, but they're going to be developed on the SharePoint site. Users will also be able to access the Senate's forms on this SharePoint area as well. And then the SharePoint site is also going to have information about the CPE's approval process. So proposers are going to have information about the CPE approval process and how that interfaces with the Senate's approval process.
So one thing to say about this is that we've put a lot of effort and a lot of thought into creating forms we think are consistent, coherent, and helpful for both proposers and reviewers. So we're going to require folks to use these forms. So historically, we've been relatively flexible. If colleges have their own versions of forms, we've been able to find a way to incorporate those. At this point, part of our goal in producing this video and sharing this information as widely as possible is to get everybody familiar with the forms that we have. So we are going to ask proposers to use these forms, the OSPE forms and the Senate forms, to bring new proposals through and changes to proposals through the Senate process going forward. So one last set of elements of proposals that we wanted to talk about briefly is about assessment-related questions. So student learning outcomes and how they'll be assessed have historically been part of the form, a part of the proposal form, and now they'll be asked to submit proposers will be asked to submit a completed assessment plan, and proposers will will complete that assessment plan in consultation with the folks in the OSPE office. In the past, proposers were asked for assessment information in 3 different ways at 2 different times. So first, there were assessment questions in what we used to call the white half of the form, or the first part of the form, which was the Senate questions. What assessment information will be collected, when will it be collected, and how will it be disseminated? And then in the second, in the back part of the form, or the brown half of the form, there were CPE-specific assessment questions as well. And then finally, when the time came for program review, proposers were asked, or at that time, faculty of the program were asked to create a complete assessment plan. We have simplified this process now.
Yes, so what we want people to do is to not answer a billion individual questions that were kind of the same, but not exactly. And so what you'll be asked to do now if you're a proposer for a new degree program or for a new certificate is to submit your assessment plan. It's a little bit more work up front. However, it's done once, and that document will work for the Senate, it will work for the CPE, and it will work for the program review cycle. And we've made one modification about the timing of this attachment. So in the past, proposers were required to submit everything at once at the very beginning as soon as it left their hands. And we decided to hold off a bit on the assessment plan and let that be submitted a little bit later on. Sometimes there were questions early on about collaboration, and faculty might have been a little bit hesitant to use somebody else's course that they'd heard about, or someone who'd asked, hey, will you use my course? Because their assessment plan, some of their work had already been done. And so we thought, well, if we do the assessment plan a little bit later in the process, but before it gets to the councils, then there's some increased opportunity for collaboration. And also, if the assessment plan changes during the review process within the college because of requests at the department or the college level, then the proposer isn't constantly making changes to the assessment plan as they move forward. So what we're going to require now is that the assessment plan be uploaded at the time that the proposal is approved at the college level. So when it moves, so prior to approval, prior to someone in the college dean's office clicking approve, that assessment plan has got to be uploaded. And then it'll move on to the council with that file. And then in addition to the benefits of a little bit less work, by the time that it's time for a program review, that assessment plan is sitting there and waiting, and it's going to make that assessment cycle just a little bit easier on the faculty that are participating. And then in addition to these files, there'll be things that faculty will want to upload, letters of support from different units. They may want to have information from an accrediting agency. There may be letters of support from areas outside the university. And then for undergraduate degree programs, there'll be a graduation composition and communication requirement, or GCCR form, and that'll be uploaded. Sometimes faculty have done some market studies or have done some burning glass research to see what the expected need is, and so those will be accepted as well.
So as you can see, we've made some big changes in the process itself, and we have high hopes that these big changes will lead to big improvements in the curriculum approval process. So in this video, we've provided you with a description of the changes that we've made, as well as some information about how we arrived at the decisions to make these changes. Our hope is that the flexibility of these new submission methods will allow proposers to make any requested edits more easily. So as the reviewers go through their reviews and request changes from the proposers, those changes will be able to be made, and the reviewers will be able to see the information in a more standardized and easily digestible version. we're also excited because we think this means as we receive your feedback, as proposers and reviewers use this new process, if we discover that there are tweaks that we need to make to certain parts of this process, we'll be able to do it more easily because we've used those separate uploads rather than one giant PDF. So we've got our contact information up there on the screen. Please do reach out to us. We're producing this video, we're having these conversations because we are interested in your feedback. So we've worked hard on what we've done so far, but this is a university-wide process, and so we are very interested in hearing from you about what you like about the new process, what you think could be changed, where there is room for improvement. Especially as we get through this first year, we come up to next summer, we'll be very eager to hear from you about how this has gone for you. So please do send us your thoughts. So thanks very much for your time, and thanks for your engagement on our new Curriculog program approval process.
Bye.